Whether you're an Elvis fan or not, having one of his Christmas albums is a must for the joyous season, and a renowned 1957 Elvis Christmas album is likely to be your pick. But did you know that behind the success of this joyful seasons and the world's best-selling Christmas album by the king of rock and roll, there were hiccups? Over the years, numerous stories have circulated about this festive album, ranging from radio station bans to DJ firings for playing it, and even a displeased Irving Berlin over Elvis's version of White Christmas. But are these stories real? That's what we're going to find out today. Welcome to Anything Elvis. I'm Molly, a longtime millennial Elvis fan, and here's the story. There are a number of myths told and retold about the Elvis Christmas album, especially Elvis's version of White Christmas. At the time when the song was released, many claim that Elvis's version used the same arrangement as the recording by the Drifters, which reached the top 10 on the R&B singles chart in 1954 and 1955. However, this claim is very far from true. From the structure of the verses to the use of instruments and vocal arrangements, the two versions of White Christmas are noticeably different. Additionally, despite both versions, Elvis's and the Drifters not being original renditions of the song, the Drifters' version, unlike Elvis's, attracted virtually no adverse reaction, including no reported opposition from Irving Berlin, the composer of this renowned Christmas tune. Part of the reason for this was that the Drifters' version of White Christmas was played only on black radio stations at the time. White Christmas was composed by Irving Berlin as a somber response to the death of his 3-week-old son, Irving Berlin Jr., who passed away on Christmas Day in 1928. The song eventually transformed into the 1942 classic film Holiday Inn, winning an Academy Award. There were many rumors about Berlin being very upset about Elvis's upbeat recording of his song, including the way he presented it, and even claims that he tried to get Elvis's version of White Christmas banned from radio stations. But is this rumor true? It is likely not, because of the absence of any mention of the story until 1990. It was Lawrence Berkran's biography of Berlin, As Thousands Cheer, which first introduced the anecdote that Berlin supposedly ordered radio stations not to play Elvis's rock and roll version of the song. This piece of information originally claimed to have come from an interview with Walter Wager, a novelist and later an executive of ASCAP, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. However, the reliability of his interview is questioned because it serves as the sole source for the story about Irving Berlin attempting to ban Elvis Presley's White Christmas. There are doubts about how Wager obtained this information, especially since there's no indication that he was with Berlin at the time of the alleged incident. Although the story gained traction in Elvis-related publications, but upon closer investigation of historical archives, there is no evidence in newspapers, magazines, or trade journals between 1957 to the 80s, making the claim highly dubious. Berlin's alleged attempt to ban the recording seems to be a fabrication or exaggeration, as confirmed by the lack of contemporary sources supporting the story. Another noteworthy incident tied to Elvis's White Christmas involved the dismissal of DJ Al Pretty from a radio station in Portland, KEX. The narrative unfolds as Al's boss, upon hearing Elvis's rendition of White Christmas from home, promptly called the station to fire him before the program even ended. As reported by Variety in its December 11, 1957 issue, Alice's dismissal wasn't explicitly linked to playing Elvis's White Christmas. Instead, the station argued that the decision contradicted their intentional disregard for policy because KEX had specifically prohibited the song, citing that it desecrates the spirit of Christmas and transgresses the composer's intent. The station's choice wasn't well received by listeners, prompting an influx of letters to KEX advocating for Pretty's return. Fortunately, Pretty was back on the air within 2 weeks. He received full pay for the entire period he was off air. Within a week of his 1957 appearance in Vancouver, Elvis was in Los Angeles recording the Elvis Christmas Album, and it was mainly from Canadian radio stations that this album received the most criticism and faced banishment from the airwaves. In Vancouver, all 6 of the town's radio stations agreed to ban Elvis's holiday recordings. CKXL in Calgary and CFRB in Toronto also joined in banning the album. But does that mean all, as rumored, Canadian radio stations banned the album? Let's find out. The Canadian Press and News Gathering Organization surveyed disc jockeys across Canada and found that while many refused to play any cut from Elvis's holiday album, other stations plan to play the non-religious songs like Santa Bring My Baby Back to Me and avoid Christmas standards like Silent Night. Some stations stated they were waiting for their listeners' views before deciding whether or not to play the album. The nationwide Canadian Broadcasting Cooperation, however, took a progressive stand on the Elvis Christmas Album. A spokesman stated, "We have no objection if listeners want to hear the Presley albums and CBC disc jockeys want to play the numbers." So to say that all Canadian radio stations banned the record is absolutely false. Moreover, the love for Elvis among Canadian fans is evident as they continue to host numerous Elvis festivals celebrating his life, music, and enduring legacy. So despite the criticisms and various controversies, Elvis Christmas Album remains the world's best-selling Christmas album and one of the best-selling albums of all time, with over 20 million copies sold worldwide. What is your favorite Elvis Christmas song? Please share in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and if you haven't already, please click the white subscribe button to stay tuned for my next video. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next video in shorts.